Picture this: a canvas stretched tight across a frame, untouched, waiting for the first stroke of paint to give it meaning. That's how I see my life sometimes. A blank space brimming with potential, yet already marked by invisible lines of choices made long ago. My name is Isla, and at 47, I've spent more than 2 decades weaving my story with a man named Jonathan. He's my husband, my anchor, and sometimes my greatest mystery. We've built a life together, one that looks steady from the outside, polished, predictable, like a well-kept garden. But beneath the surface, there are roots that twist in ways even I don't fully understand. And I'm starting to wonder if I ever will. Jonathan and I met when the world still felt wide open to me, when I was just a young woman with dreams bigger than my small-town upbringing could hold. He was different back then, a man with a quiet intensity, eyes that seemed to see right through to the parts of me I didn't even know existed. Over 20 years of marriage, we've carved out a rhythm. Him with his steady job as an architect, designing structures that stand firm against time. And me, a teacher who finds solace in shaping young minds while secretly yearning for something more. Our home in the suburbs of Portland is a quiet one, filled with the kind of comfort that comes from routine. The coffee maker hums every morning at 6:15 sharp. His blueprints are always spread across the dining table, and my lesson plans are scribbled in notebooks stacked by the couch.
It's a life of small, dependable patterns, but lately, I've caught myself staring out the window, wondering if there's a color I've missed, a shade I've never dared to paint into our shared picture.
There's something about Jonathan that keeps me tethered, though. Maybe it's the way he can sit in silence for hours, lost in thought, and still make me feel like I'm the only thing in his world when he finally looks up. Or maybe it's the way he's always been a puzzle I can't quite solve. He's 50 now, with lines etched into his face that tell stories I'm not sure I've heard all of. He's not the kind of man who spills his thoughts easily. Every word from him feels earned, deliberate. And yet, there are moments when I catch a flicker of something in his expression, a shadow that makes me wonder what he's holding back. I've learned to live with those shadows over the years, to accept that some parts of him might always remain just out of reach. But that doesn't stop me from wanting to know, from wanting to trace every hidden line until I understand the full design. Our life together hasn't been without its challenges, of course. We've weathered storms, financial strains early on, the ache of trying for children that never came, the slow grind of years that can dull even the sharpest connection. But we've always come back to each other, like a compass needle finding north no matter how far it's spun. And tonight, as I stand on the precipice of something I can't yet name, that pull to Jonathan feels stronger than ever. We're not in our quiet suburban home right now, with its familiar hum of routine. Instead, we've stepped into a world that feels both foreign and intoxicating, a place where the air itself seems to shimmer with secrets. I'm clutching Jonathan's arm as we approach a building that, from the outside, looks like nothing at all. Just a plain brick facade tucked into a narrow alley in the heart of the city. There's no sign, no indication of what lies within, just a heavy black door with a small brass knocker shaped like a lion's head. My pulse quickens as Jonathan raps on it twice, the sound sharp against the muffled noise of the street behind us. A moment later, the door creaks open, and a man in a dark suit nods at us, stepping aside without a word. We're in. The contrast hits me like a wave as we cross the threshold. Inside, this private club is alive, a hidden gem pulsing with energy beneath its unassuming shell. The lighting is low, casting warm golden glows across polished mahogany tables and deep velvet upholstery in shades of burgundy and emerald. The air hums with the soft strains of jazz, a saxophone weaving lazily through the chatter of voices and the delicate clink of glasses. I catch the scent of expensive cologne, sharp and woody, mingling with the faint, crisp tang of champagne. It's the kind of place that feels exclusive, elite, like stepping into a painting of old-world glamour. The crowd is a mix of sharp suits and elegant gowns, faces half lit by the flickering glow of candles on every table, laughter spilling out in bursts that feel both carefree and calculated. I can't help but feel a little out of place, even in my lavender dress that hugs my frame just right, even with Jonathan's steady presence beside me. His hand rests lightly on the small of my back as he guides me through the throng of strangers, his touch both reassuring and possessive. My chest flutters with a nervous excitement, a mix of awe at this hidden world and uncertainty about why we're here. I've been to upscale parties with Jonathan before, events tied to his architectural projects or charity galas where we play the part of the polished couple. But this feels different. There's an undercurrent I can't quite name, a weight in the air that makes my skin prickle. I take a glass of Prosecco from a passing tray, the bubbles tickling my throat as I sip, hoping it'll steady the jitter in my nerves. The cold fizz is sharp against my tongue, grounding me for a moment as I scan the room, taking in every detail. The way the light dances off crystal chandeliers, the way conversations seem to hush and swell in waves. Jonathan leads me to the center of the room, and before I can overthink the strangeness of this place, he leans in close, his breath warm against my ear as he murmurs, "There's something I want to show you. Come with me." His voice carries that quiet intensity I've always found impossible to resist. And despite the unease prickling at the back of my mind, I nod, letting him guide me away from the crowd. We weave through the sea of elegant figures, their faces blurring into a haze of half-smiles and curious glances, until we reach a narrow hallway branching off from the main room. The transition is jarring. The lively hum of jazz and laughter fades into a distant murmur, like a radio turned down low, as we step into the quieter, dimmer space. The air here feels different, cooler against my skin, carrying a faint musty scent, like old wood and forgotten secrets. The corridor stretches ahead, lined with closed doors on either side, their dark surfaces gleaming faintly under the flickering light of sconces mounted on the walls. Each flame dances in its glass holder, casting long, wavering shadows that seem to move with us as we walk. Jonathan's hand slips into mine, his grip firm but not tight, a silent reassurance that keeps me tethered to him even as my nerves twist tighter with every step. He doesn't speak, and his silence unnerves me more than I'd like to admit. I want to ask where we're going, what this is all about, but the weight of the quiet around us stifles my words before they can form. My heels click softly against the polished floor, the sound echoing in the stillness, and I can't help but glance at the doors we pass. Some have faint scratches near the handles, others are adorned with intricate carvings I can't quite make out in the dim light. What lies behind them? My imagination spins wild, conjuring images of hidden rooms and whispered conspiracies. And I shake my head to clear the thoughts, focusing instead on the warmth of Jonathan's hand in mine. We stop abruptly in front of a heavy wooden door at the end of the corridor, its surface darker and more weathered than the others, as if it stood here for centuries. Jonathan reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small, tarnished key, the metal glinting briefly in the sconce light. He slides it into the lock, and the click of the mechanism turning echoes like a gunshot in the oppressive quiet. My heart thuds in my chest as he pushes the door open, revealing a room that steals the breath from my lungs. It's nothing like the opulent main hall we left behind. The space is intimate, almost claustrophobic, with soft, ambient lighting that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once, casting a warm, golden haze over everything. In the center of the room lies a large mattress, draped in dark silk sheets that shimmer faintly, like liquid midnight. The walls are bare, save for something I can't quite comprehend at first. Strange, round holes, about a foot in diameter, spaced evenly around the room at waist height. They look like vents, but there's no hum of air, no mechanical purpose I can discern. They simply lead into darkness, into adjacent spaces I can't see. My stomach churns with a mix of confusion and dread as I turn to Jonathan, my voice trembling despite my effort to keep it steady. What? What is this place? He looks at me, his eyes softer than I expect, almost reverent, and his voice is calm, measured, as if he's explaining something sacred. It's safe, Isla. Just lie down. Feel it. Trust me. His words hang in the air, heavy with meaning I can't grasp, and I hesitate, my legs feeling like lead as I take a tentative step toward the mattress. Every instinct screams at me to turn back, to demand answers, but there's a part of me, a small, reckless part, that's drawn to the unknown, to the mystery of what Jonathan wants me to experience. I sit on the edge of the mattress, the silk cool and smooth against my skin through the thin fabric of my dress, and at his gentle urging, I lie back, my head resting against the softness, my body tense with anticipation and fear. Jonathan sits beside me, his weight dipping the mattress as I lie there, my heart hammering so loud I'm sure he can hear it. The silk beneath me feels like a cold whisper against my back, a stark contrast to the heat building in my chest. My lavender dress clings to me, its delicate fabric suddenly feeling like the thinnest of shields, a fragile reminder of the normalcy I left behind in that glittering main room. I can still hear the faint echo of jazz in my mind, but here, in this intimate, shadowed space, the world feels reduced to just this mattress, these walls, and the strange, dark holes that seem to watch me like unblinking eyes. My breath hitches as I sense movement beyond those openings, a subtle shift in the air. And then it happens. Warmth, unexpected and startling, as unfamiliar hands reach through, their touch tentative at first, tracing along my arm through one of the gaps. The sensation is electric, a shiver racing down my spine as fingertips, soft yet deliberate, explore the exposed skin just above my wrist. I tense, every muscle in my body coiling tight, my instinct screaming to pull away, to retreat to safety. But Jonathan's hand finds mine, his grip steady, unyielding, grounding me in a way that feels both comforting and commanding. His fingers intertwine with mine, warm and familiar, a lifeline in this sea of uncertainty. "I'm here, Isla," he whispers, his voice low and intimate, brushing against my ear like a caress. "I love seeing you like this, so open, so vulnerable. This is a gift, for both of us." His words wrap around me, heavy with a meaning I'm still grappling to understand, but they soothe something raw inside me, even as my mind races with questions. Why would he want this? Why would he bring me here, to this strange, hidden place, and watch as strangers' hands reach for me? My chest tightens with a pang of guilt, sharp and bitter, as I think of the vows we exchanged all those years ago, promises of fidelity, of exclusivity. Am I betraying him by lying here, by not pulling away? Or is this, in some twisted way, what he's always wanted? Another hand brushes against my cheek, the touch feather-light, but bold enough to make me gasp softly. The warmth of it lingers, a stark contrast to the cool air of the room, and I can't help but turn my head slightly, instinctively seeking to see who it belongs to, even though I know I can't. The darkness beyond the holes hides everything, rendering these touches anonymous, disembodied, like whispers from a dream I can't wake from. I hear murmurs now, soft voices from the other side of the walls, too low to make out words, just a hum of presence that sends a tremor through me. My breath catches again, shallow and quick, as another set of fingers finds my other arm, lingering at the crook of my elbow, the touch slow and deliberate, as if testing my boundaries. My skin prickles under the attention, A mix of unease and something else, something I'm not ready to name, stirring deep within me. I squeeze Jonathan's hand tighter, anchoring myself to him as these sensations threaten to sweep me away. His thumb strokes the back of my hand, a small, rhythmic motion that feels like a silent promise. "You're doing so well," he murmurs, his voice a steady current beneath the chaos of my thoughts. "Just let yourself feel it. Don't fight it." His approval washes over me, warm and heavy, like a tide pulling me under, and I find myself focusing on it, on him, rather than the hands that continue to explore. One brushes along my collarbone now, just above the neckline of my dress, the touch growing bolder, more insistent, and I flinch slightly, my body still caught between resistance and a creeping curiosity. What would it be like to stop fighting? To let go of the guilt, the questions, and just feel. My mind churns, a storm of conflicting emotions. There's the weight of betrayal, the confusion over Jonathan's intentions, why he's orchestrated this, why he seems so calm, so pleased, as I lie here, caught in this web of sensation and uncertainty. But as the moments stretch on, something inside me shifts, like a dam giving way under pressure. I stop resisting. I let go. My body, once rigid with tension, softens against the silk sheets, surrendering to the unknown. The hands, there are more now, I can count them if I focus. 7 distinct presences, each touch unique, yet blending into a collective rhythm that washes over me like a tide. One is rougher, calloused fingertips grazing the sensitive skin along my forearm, sending sharp tingles through me. Another is softer, almost reverent, tracing slow circles near my shoulder, as if mapping out every inch with care. A third lingers at the edge of my jaw, a fleeting warmth that makes my breath hitch. I can't see them, can't know who they are, and that anonymity becomes a strange kind of freedom. There's no judgment here, no identity to cling to, mine or theirs. I'm stripped bare, not just of clothing but of every label, every expectation, until I'm nothing but sensation, nothing but feeling. The whispers from beyond the walls grow louder, not in volume, but in presence. A chorus of hushed tones that blend into a hypnotic hum. It's as if they're speaking directly to my soul, drowning out the last of my doubts, the nagging voices in my head that screamed of guilt and betrayal just minutes ago. Those voices are gone now, replaced by this sound, this rhythm that pulses through me, syncing with the erratic beat of my heart. My skin feels alive, electric, every nerve ending awake and hungry for more. A hand brushes down the side of my neck, and I arch slightly, instinctively, welcoming the touch rather than shrinking from it. Another skims along my thigh, just below the hem of my dress, and I don't pull away. I don't want to. My body responds on its own, a traitor to the woman I thought I was, melting into each caress, each fleeting connection, as if I've been starving for this without ever knowing it. Jonathan's hand remains in mine, his grip a constant anchor amidst this storm of sensation. His voice cuts through the hum, a steady stream of warmth that keeps me tethered to reality, even as I drift further into this haze. "You're incredible, Isla. So beautiful. I love you so much," he murmurs, his words laced with a raw emotion that pierces through me. I can hear the awe in his tone, the pride, and it does something to me, unlocks a part of myself I've kept buried for years. I turn my head toward the sound of him, even though my eyes are half closed, lost in the fog of feeling. I can't see his face clearly in this dim light, but I feel him, his presence as solid as ever, grounding me even as I spiral. His words echo in my mind, mingling with the whispers, and I realize with a jolt that I'm not just enduring this. I like it. The guilt that clawed at me earlier, the sharp sting of betrayal I felt toward our vows, it's morphing into something else, something wild and untamed. This isn't just surrender. It's liberation. A raw, primal freedom I've never tasted before. I've spent decades building walls around myself, crafting a life of structure and predictability. But here, in this shadowed room, those walls crumble, and I'm left bare, alive in a way I didn't know was possible. The intensity builds, a slow crescendo that starts in the pit of my stomach and radiates outward, consuming me. My breath comes in ragged gasps, shallow and uneven, as the touches grow bolder, more synchronized, like a dance I've somehow learned the steps to without trying. One hand presses lightly against my ribcage, feeling the rapid rise and fall of my chest, while another tangles gently in my hair, tugging just enough to send a shiver down my spine. My mind empties, thoughts scattering like leaves in a storm, until there's nothing left but this moment, this overwhelming wave of sensation. I'm no longer Isla, the teacher, the wife, the woman bound by routine. I'm just a body, a vessel. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it stops. The hands retreat, slipping back into the darkness beyond the holes in the walls, leaving behind a phantom warmth on my skin that lingers like a memory I can't quite grasp. The room falls into a profound silence, so thick it feels like a weight pressing down on me. The whispers are gone, the hum of presence vanished, and I'm left with nothing but the sound of my own uneven breathing and the faint rustle of the silk sheets beneath me. I'm still on the mattress, my body tingling with aftershocks, every nerve still buzzing as if it's reluctant to let go of the intensity that just consumed me. My mind is a whirlwind, a chaotic storm of emotions crashing against each other, shock at what I've just experienced, a deep, almost primal satisfaction that I can't deny, and a lingering guilt that gnaws at the edges of my thoughts, refusing to be silenced. I don't move at first, just lie there, staring up at the ceiling, though I can barely make out its details in the dim, golden haze of the room. The holes in the walls are empty now, dark and silent, like portals to a world that's slipped away from me. The air feels heavy, saturated with the weight of what just happened, as if the very atmosphere holds onto the echoes of those touches, those whispers. My lavender dress clings to me, slightly askew, and I can feel the coolness of the silk against my back, a stark reminder of where I am, of the boundary I've crossed. My heart is still racing, though it's slowing now, each beat a reminder of how alive I feel, how raw and exposed. Jonathan shifts beside me, his presence a steady anchor in the aftermath. I feel the mattress dip as he leans over, and then his lips press gently against my forehead, warm and familiar. A gesture so tender it almost breaks me. "You were incredible," he whispers, his voice soft but thick with emotion, each word carrying a weight that sinks deep into my chest. "I love you so much." There's a tenderness in his tone that I've heard 1,000 times before, but tonight it's layered with something else. Pride, yes, but also something deeper, something I can't quite name. I turn my head to look at him, my vision still hazy from the intensity of it all, and I see his eyes shining in the low light. They're filled with a fierce adoration, a look that makes my breath catch, because it's as if he's seeing me for the first time, or maybe seeing a part of me he's always known was there, waiting to be uncovered. I sit up slowly, my movements deliberate, almost cautious, as if I'm afraid to shatter the fragile stillness that surrounds us. My hands smooth down the fabric of my dress, an instinctive gesture to reclaim some semblance of control, though I feel anything but composed. My skin still hums, my body still remembers every touch, every fleeting connection, and as I adjust myself on the mattress, I'm struck by a strange duality. I feel exposed, vulnerable in a way I've never been before, and yet there's an unexpected empowerment coursing through me. It's as if by surrendering to that unknown, by letting go of every wall I've built over the years, I've claimed something new, something powerful. I'm not just Isla, the teacher, the wife bound by routine. I'm something more, something wilder, something I'm only beginning to understand. As I sit there, knees drawn up slightly, my gaze drifting back to those empty holes in the walls, I let myself reflect on what just happened. I search my heart for regret, for some shred of remorse that should be there, given the vows Jonathan and I made, the life we've built together, but I find none. Instead, there's a quiet admission, a truth I can't ignore. In that darkness, with those anonymous touches, I felt truly free for the first time in my life. It's a freedom I didn't even know I craved, a release from the invisible chains of expectation, of routine, of the person I've always thought I had to be. As the first light of dawn crept through the window, I realized that embracing the unknown had finally set me on the path to discovering who I truly am. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.